the grand old party, the Republican Party of Guam, with former Senator Tony Atta, who is now the chair of the Republican Party. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Bree.
Good morning.
So Bree is just going to pop up this release real quick, but while we're doing that, just a little catch up here. I think the last time I saw you was at the congressional address of Delegate Mike Nicholas. Yeah, I think was that it, or was it the governor's address?
No, it was the governor's address. I was off island during the congressman's address.
Okay, so that's the last time I saw you. Man, that seems like a whole other lifetime ago, Senator.
Man, I'm telling you, you know how time flies, but you know how life changes over just a couple of weeks.
I mean, yeah, you of all people would definitely know that working in the funeral business. But Bree has this release. So Bree, what do we got?
Yeah, I just wanted to get, it says give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, definitely. And Bree, it's about giving the president credit for coming out and helping our island. And it's, just everything that's coming in now, the stimulus money that's coming in now. We have over $141 million that's coming in. We have the SBA that, over 500 businesses has taken advantage of, and that equated to about, $100 million? Mm-hmm. And then also the other funds that are available to the governor, the both direct and indirect funding. We had funds from the Department of Interior. So, all these funds that are coming into the island is because of President Trump's initiative to move forward and get our economy moving and, getting money into our people's hands. And I hope that's where the money trickles down to, is those that need the funding. Our local legislature, and local leaders there, the majority had an opportunity to turn around and give our people a hand up, right? Mm-hmm. Not a handout, and they failed to do that in this past legislature. I mean, granted, there was some bills that took care of those that are in the front lines, or everyone that's going to be getting hazardous pay. But how about our regular folks that have been unemployed for the past month and a half? I mean, these are the things that we need to bring attention to, so that we ensure that the money that comes into the island goes to the people who need it the most.
I guess, Senator, my first question would be, isn't this the nature of politics? I mean, we got, Congressman Nicholas taking credit for stuff he had nothing to do with. The governor is taking credit for federal monies that are coming down. The Republicans have taken credit for things.
Definitely, but without the president signing the stimulus package, none of that would have been possible for anyone to say, we're able to work with this and get it to our island. And that's what we need to look at, is that, we need to be appreciative for what the federal government has done so far. Our local government had the opportunity a month ago to help our local businesses before they flattened out, and they took no action. The legislature took no action whatsoever, until, a week ago they go into session, but it wasn't to address those issues that needed to be addressed. A little relief on the BPT, some on the liquid fuels tax. What is it that we can do? The stimulus money that's coming out that our local government is doing now wasn't able to be possible until federal funds kicked in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We've asked the governor about, bridge financing, not for businesses. I'm more concerned about the little people. Exactly. But yeah, money to give them in the interim while we're waiting for the stimulus to come out. And the response we got, and she was really triggered by it too, is that, go apply for food stamps, we've seen, according to the lieutenant governor, that was it 1,200 people,
households, new applicants were approved.
Yeah, definitely, an additional 1,200 applicants. But again, that's a federal program. What are we doing locally? What are we doing locally for our people?
Yeah, and so,
locally.
Senator, I just kind of laugh at myself, because I asked the governor, what are we doing? Is there any local assistance? And Nestor asked it, and I've got every media, and her cousin asked it, and her response was, local assistance is go apply for the food stamps, which is federally funded.
Federally funded, exactly.
But I think she meant in her, because I have aunties, like they say one thing, and it's all malfunction, but what they're trying to say. Uh-huh. That's what she reminds me of sometimes, and I think what she was trying to say was that it's available locally.
Yeah. But but that's not the thing. I mean, we need to ensure that because if there's additional stimulus funding that's coming down the pipeline, we want to make sure Guam is included, and you know how it is in DC, you know how DC works, right? It's a dog eat dog world out there, and we need to ensure that whatever funding we can get out here to Guam, we get out here to Guam, and the president can ensure that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we want to make sure, is that we ensure that we give credit where credit is due, and appreciate the funding that's coming in to help our local economy. And hopefully that the local government now will step in and say, okay, you know what, we can help out now in lowering BPT for an interim time, until the end of the year. We can lower liquid fuels tax. I mean, look at gas now is at $3.05 a gallon. If we took away the liquid fuels tax for a short period, that would be under $2, under $3. I'm sorry, about $2.95 a gallon. So
Yeah.
it's just about what we can do to help our people locally. And since we're not doing anything locally, we need to give credit where credit is due again. And
Right.
that's back to the president.
So what do you want the governor to say every time she says something about a program? Thank you, President Trump.
You know what? If that's what it takes, and you know what? I remember during the campaign season, she said she'll do whatever she has to ensure that we can work with the president.
Right.
And if that's what it takes to ensure that funding continues to flow to Guam, then I don't see why not. There's actually no harm in it.
Right. I want to ask
Yeah.
about. Go ahead. No, ladies first.
No, I was just going to ask, there may be some Democrats out there, some people out there that may say, Senator, it's too early for this. Why are we playing political games? Why are we criticizing, the governor on something like this, on who gets credit for what?
Well, I think this is the time you criticize. I don't think you go into an emergency crisis pandemic and all of a sudden, nobody
Yeah.
say anything. This is where
Exactly.
the
And,
scrutiny. Anyway.
You want to make sure that they know that the people are listening and the people are watching, and they know that whatever funding that's being spent should be accounted for. And that's where our public auditor can come in as well, is to ensure that the funds that are coming down and trickling down to Guam are hitting to the people who need it the most, and to ensure that every penny that comes in is accounted for. Because we don't want to come back later on and say, where did $50 million go? We can't account for that. We don't want that. We want to show the federal government that, when you give us $200 million, we're going to be accountable for $200 million.
Right. I want to ask about this, the governor's plan to not decision to reopen the island, according to what the president had laid out. But I want to talk about this recovery council of advisors that she has. And you're talking about, maybe temporarily finagling the BPT. Given that this recovery council is, supposed to make decisions and have a plan to kind of boost the economy, do you think that this is one of the suggestions that they're going to come up with, or do you think that the governor's hand-picked group of people who are loyal to her, with the exception, I think, of Christine Boleto, who's a little more independent-minded? Do you think that they would even float this idea, or they can see the writing on the wall and if we ask the governor to roll back BPT, we're going to get our head bit off, so no, keep that one to yourselves?
I think what they need to do is look at all options on the table. There shouldn't be any sacred cows on the table at this point in time. Everything should actually be looked at. Everything from special funds to liquid fuels tax to BPT. Put everything on the table so we know exactly where we're at, and that when the numbers come out, that what were April's collections, that we were short now, not 10 million, but now we're short $30 million, 10 million from March and 20 from April. How is it that we can get the economy moving again? And the only way to get the economy moving again is to get these small businesses reopened, start moving them forward. And the way to do that is to ensure that we're going to give them an incentive to open up. And if lowering the BPT for till the end of the year is what it's going to take, a little bit, I've always learned that a little bit of something is a whole lot better than a whole lot of nothing,
Mm-hmm.
Or even
right
a little
now
bit of nothing.
Yeah, because right now we have a whole lot of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we need that little bit of something to ensure that our economy moves. Because, yes, we are in a pandemic now, but life goes on after that. And when life goes on, we're going to need to ensure that our people are employed. We need to ensure that they're able to put food on their table. We need to ensure that they can pay their bills. Because I tell you, Chris, Bree, at how GPA, GWA has said, don't worry about water and power. We're not going to connect you today. But come the fourth month after this pandemic is over, they're going to expect March, April, and May's payment.
Right.
You know?
Well, I
And
know,
they're gonna-
Senator,
they're
that
gonna put that out to the month.
they've said that they want to spread that out over 6 months, but that's a reality. We're seeing a lot of deferrals, and you know, when the bank come calling after all this is over, you better have the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know, people are not only going to have to worry about water and power. It's if they have rent or mortgage, you're going to have to worry about that.
Right.
They're going to have to worry about the payment on the car. They're going to have to worry about putting food on the table. And you know what? We don't have to worry about minimum wage because right now a lot of people are not making any wages.
Right.
Sounds
So-
like we're going to see the Republicans put forward their own recovery plan and give it to the governor for suggestion.
And then she's going to go throw it in the stack where she puts all the letters from.
You know, the Republican minority in the legislature had come up with very, very good bills that have not even had the opportunity to be heard or even put on this past session agenda. And I think that did an injustice to our people because all they had to do is just put it on the session agenda, debate the bill on the floor, and then turn around and vote yes or no. Plain and simple.
Agree. I
Are you
agree.
for
I
it
don't.
or
I don't
you're
agree with a lot of those bills that you're talking about, but I think that the Democrats have made the Republicans seem more dangerous because they haven't allowed them a seat at the table. And I mean, I tell them like, you guys are dumb because you're just making these Republicans so much bigger than they need to be from a partisan standpoint. Because you have the votes, you can get this on the floor, you can kill it the way you guys pass stuff for the. Anyway.
Exactly, and they could have done that, right? But they didn't. So they actually did an injustice to the people by not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the bills were dumb, but it's still just let them
But,
die.
I mean-
Let them die on the floor if they, you know what I mean?
But and I learned, Chris, over the years that bills may be dumb, but until it's debated and heard on both
Right,
sides
yeah.
of the coin, we're not going to know what the benefits or the pros and cons of it.
Right.
And if
yeah.
it's not a good bill, then at least 15 elected lawmakers have turned around and said it's not a good bill for the people.
Right.
Versus a committee saying, well, no, I don't want to put that out.
Totally agree, Senator. I want to kind of go to this back to this recovery council. And what did you make, if you had seen the press conference, we had asked about former Governor Carl Gutierrez and his role on this recovery council. And I thought it was really interesting and very telling that when, was it Nestor who asked the governor? Adriana said, hey, who's on your recovery council?
Nestor asked that,
Yeah.
and then she followed up.
So she named Dr. Ricky Hernandez Aguida, David John, who's the successful businessman that she mentioned, that he's also the chairman of the Aguida board, and I believe he is running the ASC,
yes.
which Bank of Guam bought, and then the Bank of Guam chair, Joaquin
Right.
Cook, and then
Holly.
Yeah, the governor didn't know her last name. She was like Holly from the Women's Chamber, which the governor helped found. And so you can see this group of
Christine
Belletto, I think, and when I talked to her, Thane Hancock from there were some doctors, Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio, Chief
Tony
of Staff
Babauta.
Tony Babauta, but there was
Surgeon General Dr. Mike Cruz.
Dr. Mike Cruz, but there was one name that was missing, and that name that was missing was the name of the governor's chief economic advisor and he also advises her on national and international affairs.
Who, by the way, has had experience with Typhoon Paka, Pong Songhua, Shata-An, the Asian economic crisis,
Right.
KAL crash.
Yeah.
They're
So
probably
we
missing a few.
want to ask you just from where you're sitting, how valuable do you think former Governor Gutierrez's experience and know-how would be to this, not just this recovery council, but just the whole effort to fight COVID-19 and hopefully be able to stand ourselves up after?
I think that if the governor had felt that Governor Gutierrez would have been very useful on her council, she would have appointed him. But I think that also, at the same token, that Governor Gutierrez, like you said, he's been through so many, typhoons, earthquake, KAL crash, different type of pandemics that have gone throughout the years that he's had many experiences in, and he could have put some valuable input into how we can go ahead and start recovering locally. And in that manner, being the economic advisor to the governor, I think he should have probably been on that board. But not just Governor Gutierrez. I think we should have had more folks from the local economy, a hotel and the hotel and tourism industry.
Right.
We should have had folks from the the small business owners, a few of them.
Yeah.
I mean, just so that we can get a gauge of what's going on out here in the economy and how it's affecting our people and how it's affecting those that are currently unemployed and not bringing in an income to ensure that they can be putting food on the table for their family.
I think that's really interesting, Senator, that you as the Republican Party chair, and I know that, the Republicans have had their share of headbutting with Uncle Carl, but I think it's really telling that even you are saying, hey, yeah, this guy's got a lot of experience, bring him in. And I thought it was also telling when the governor named her council, his name was not even mentioned. Then when we asked, hey, what's up with Uncle Carl, she said, oh, I'm going to have my chief of staff call him, which is just a weird answer because you're the governor. Like, you don't have Gutierrez's number, you can't call him yourself, or you can't. And really, what I'm hearing is that that's kind of the nature of it, is that there's something with the chief of staff and the gov and Uncle Carl, and they just don't want to give him the time of day. They don't want to fold him into the discussion. I wonder if he's even been called by the chief of staff.
Yeah, and I mean, no one has proprietary rights to how to reopen an economy, right? And I think the more minds that we have at the table to ensure that we're doing this the right way and that we can build our economy from ground zero, because that's where we're at right now, Chris, is at ground zero. And we need to ensure that when we move forward, that we're able to ensure that people are getting what they need, and how can the government assist businesses to open up and start to produce revenue so that they can turn around and start collecting revenues from taxation.
Okay. Thanks, Senator. Anything else in closing you want to add here?
No, I just want to, hope that everyone is doing well out there. We're in this, and we're in this together. So I hope that, not just our local government, but everyone out there looks at how we can come together to build our economy back up. And, once again, I can't stress it anymore that we need to give credit where credit is due, and that's to the president and Congress and, the Senate, because it's their funds, it's the federal funds that are generating revenue in our economy, and we want to see more of that. And in order to see more of that, we need to be mindful of how we spend what we currently have right now, and ensure that the money that needs to get into the people's hands, and everyone just needs to be safe and stay healthy.
And wash your hands.
And wear a mask. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
All right.
And wear a mask, yes.
And thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Okay.
Be safe.
Okay, thank you.
8:54. Hey, we got to take a break. Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes is just minutes away from joining the show. She's been trying to get some tests onto the island. That's a very simple way of putting it.
Mass testing, and so
if you are supporting this idea of mass testing, and I want to go back to what Dr. Cabrera said. I mean, I love the guy, and he said something like everybody's an expert now in mass testing. Well, they're just seeing what other places are doing, and everywhere that's flattened the curve. I know nowhere in the world is really done dealing with COVID, but places where they have made significant headway into this battle against the coronavirus, those places have involved some type of mass testing. And so that's why everybody's an expert, because, we don't live in a little dark hole. People can research stuff. They can do, we didn't go to medical school, but the information's all out there.
Yeah.
So we're going to get Speaker Barnes on to talk about her efforts and the lengths that she's going to try and get some, test kits in big numbers. We're talking tens of thousands onto the island. It's 8:55. We're KUAM FM. I got Guam. It's the KUAM News Takeover containing COVID. Say again? Yeah, the CNMI.